8 Wing 9 almost their sense of power and their own sense of their own sense of power is going to be more dependent on the response of the thing they're trying to be powerful over. Whereas 8 Wing 7 doesn't really need you to agree. It's just in charge. It's just gonna do it's just gonna do its motive. But like we've seen and interacted with several 8 Wing 9s that when you are not agreeing with how powerful they are, they're not happy about it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's connecting some dots right there.
The big hormone enneagram.
Hi, I'm John Lukovich, sexual self-pres 45 wing, 458 Trifix.
Hi, I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual 9 with 1, 974 Trifix.
What up, it's Emeka. I'm an 8 wing 7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I am a self-pres social 3, wing 4, with a 369 Trifix. If you like our podcast, guys, make sure you go like and subscribe on the Apple Podcast app. And if you really like us, you should definitely leave us a review.
All right, we're doing the wing thing.
Yes, we are.
All right, you all
Miss
ready?
Alexandra, I hope she came with a lecture full of insights.
We'll see. I'll just wing it and see what comes up.
She's
No pun
sleepy
intended.
today.
I'm so sleepy today.
Did she eat? Is she going to be irritable?
I fed her.
Yeah, I've been fed.
Got to feed your nine.
That's been mitigated a little bit.
Just a little.
Yeah, people really like that first Wings episode, so don't disappoint.
They really love the first Wings episode, and then for the one that just came out, I got some people say it was their favorite ever, and then I got some people being like, you really need to, shout out to Heinrich, but saying it was their favorite, and then sorry,
who's Heinrich?
I think he's
Heinrich is a friend of mine, and he and his wife Nina I've been working with, and he's great. And last time I talked to Nina, she told me that Heinrich absolutely loved the episode. So shout out to Heinrich.
I mean, if you really thought about the Wings episode, like we didn't really get too deep into the whole hexagram thing. I thought David's reflections was like a good way to sort of like ease into it. And then at some point, it sort of like went off the deep end. But still, it wasn't like the most impossible thing to follow.
Yeah, well, I want to go on the deep end more. That's some of my favorite shit. Whether anybody can follow or not, I don't care.
I mean, the thing is, it could go back and like some of these episodes, editing it, I get to listen to it multiple times. And the second time you listen to it, you get more out of it. And so
true.
there's a lot in that we could probably continue. That upside down, like looking at the hexagram versus the attachment triangle, and it's sort of like look at like what are these opposing forces doing? What is it saying about humanity? We could do another episode on that.
Totally. I mean, there was so much too about like Kabbalah that I didn't go into or cover that would be interesting, and the Ennead of Heliopolis, and like, I mean, kind of that style of thinking that we were doing was very much like at the heart of Neoplatonic. Not what we were doing wasn't specifically Neoplatonic, but it was like in that style of Neoplatonic and Hermetic, and even in some Sufi groups, it's like that kind of philosophizing on one hand is like seems maybe useless or impractical, but different traditions took things that were similar to that as a means of orienting their attention to the three forces and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
So like it's not just that the three forces are something abstract like to think about. It's like part of the aim of that concept is that within each moment there's maybe not an identification in the sense of like mentally labeling, but there's a felt sense of the three forces trying to come together in our direct experience. And so there's always going to be a negative force. There's always going to be a positive force. There's always going to be a reconciling force. And part of the work with that is overcoming likes and dislikes, so that you're actually just part of the container that can hold those three forces. And it's like that, in a sense, is what inner work is. And so it's, anyway, that's pretty interesting to me. So I think, even though it's like a very far out kind of thing, I do think it has meaning.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those things where, it's maybe not clear at first, but like the first time we got into hex versus attachment, it took maybe like 10 other episodes before, all right, I get it now, or it's starting to get easier and easier. And then Xander came over with attachment to disconnect, and then that connected a whole bunch of dots. So you don't know where it's going to go.
Right. Yeah. The funnest stuff is that shit for me. It's just like going, like, I don't.
Ham.
Yeah, like I don't want to like teach on this thing.
Right. We're exploring.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a sort of mental creativity that gets to happen here. Is like we know enough about what the Enneagram is, so let's just play with it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like, I mean, does anybody listening just
And
want
it's
to
like-
hear somebody teach it them? It's like,
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
like,
it's also like intelligence comes from pleasure. Like intelligence comes from playing and stuff like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like in nature, some of the most playful animals are also known to be the most intelligent ones.
Yeah.
Like dogs, dolphins, stuff like that. So like it is with just like fucking around and seeing what comes about that like David found all of his insights. You know what I mean? So it's play around.
Yeah, people love the wings episode, not necessarily because we just sat there and gave descriptions for all the wings, but because we sort of, like, Alexandra, you were making all these connections, and it was sort of like opening up all these different doors, and people are asking for more, in a sense that they're asking for, like, give us more descriptions, but I think what they're really asking for is, like, make wings
like
come
wonder.
alive. Yeah, like, give us
yeah.
more stuff about wings, because it just opened it up, like, showing all the different ways that wings were interacting. And it's just like we just do more of that, not necessarily come here and give descriptions for all the different wings, but just like, let's open this stuff up.
It is kind of funny to me that people had that wings episode 2 episodes ago that they were like loving, and then we just gave them blue balls by going way in the middle of nowhere.
Push, pull. Oh, you like that? All right.
Taking it away.
I'm going to make you wait.
Disciplining our little pain piggies to not expect enjoyment.
You're never going to get what you want when you think you're going to get it. And it's not going to show up the way you thought.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to Big Hormone Enneagram. We are typing the Stranger Things kids. Joking. Fuck that. We are going back to wings. I think we're doing the body center today, and we are plugging. As always, please buy my book. I've been really appreciating the reviews, and it means a lot to have the reviews that are up for being a no-name author or whatever.
A big name author.
A big name, no name. And yeah, like, I don't know. I really appreciate everybody who's put reviews in. I don't know who everybody is, but they're. I mean, that's like one of the best things I think an author can get, is just like to see what impact their work had. And then I'm doing a study group on Sundays on my book. Schedule, it's kind of loose or whatever, and it's through Zoom, 4 p.m. Eastern time. You can DM me or email me for the link. I'll just put it on my website, I guess, the link.
Yeah.
And then for people that come, and then you can also like it's $15 donation suggested. A lot of this, I'm not like checking who's paying or whatever. So if you're on, I just trust you that you're gonna pay me. PayPal, Venmo to my email. But yeah, that's been good.
What's your next one going to be about?
We've done 4 already, and the next one is on the social instinct.
Nice.
So we've been just going through like my first chapter. It's going a lot slower than I thought, which I think is actually good, because it's like getting saturated in different things and questions and observations and people's inner work. We do practice together. It's been really good. So I've been enjoying a heck of a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I've seen people like making comments in the group of insights that they got from John's study group. And so it's another, like maybe someone doesn't have the means to go to a workshop or whatever, but this is kind of like a broken up workshop, a way to
Mhm.
work with this stuff. And so I've seen a lot of people who've been commenting about what they've gotten from it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I feel like if you maybe read my book but didn't really feel like you got it, or I don't know, like, it's one thing just to read, to learn through reading, and then people are asking really good questions and we're talking about it, and I'm bringing in all the other shit I couldn't include into the book, and so it's been really good that way.
Do you record it?
Yep. Yeah, I can send you the things I'll give you all the passwords and stuff like that. And then next thing is Alexandra is doing astrology readings for $125, right?
Yes.
You want to say anything about that?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's a starting rate of 125. They usually go between an hour to 2 hours. We've had some go past that. Also, like the reason I'm kind of starting with this rate here is because I have just rolled out doing like conversations, like video calls and phone calls and stuff like that instead of the write-ups that I was doing. The conversation just seems to be a lot more organic and a lot more personal, because we can see how exactly placements manifest like on a personal level rather than just giving you like a textbook description and then just hoping you find the way that it applies to you. So it's been really insightful. I've kind of rolled it out for like for friends and been experimenting with that, and it seems to be going really well. So now I'm expanding.
Where can people find that?
You guys can DM me on anything. If you guys have me on Facebook, go for it there. My personal Instagram account is I am Alexandra AA, 2 A's at the bottom, just for my initial last names, or at Angry Enneagram 9 on Instagram also. Yeah, I will get back to you and we'll set something up, and it's been really fun. It's been really energizing for me too. So that's been a extra treat.
And
You need all the energy.
Yeah, well, I think as a social type too, like it's like really motivating for me because there's like an immediate reciprocity and exchange. And also like I am learning more through seeing how different placements apply to different people in different ways, because I've already run into like several 5th house moons and like, several Cancer risings, but it shows up differently for everybody. So it's been really fun.
And she knows how to tie it into Enneagram type. Like I think that's really important, is that you show people like how they're related, and that how, in a sense, it's like your chart is kind of like what your soul, or so to speak, is trying to accomplish, and your Enneagram type is kind of what can prevent that from you realizing that, or can help you in that aim. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, I think so too. I also think that there are ways that your chart kind of shows you how you are stuck in your Enneagram type, or like shows you the potential that you have for getting unstuck, like the potential you can rise up to if you start to like loosen your identifications. Like I've noticed a lot of 9s have like really powerful, like expressive charts, but then there's like one thing really inhibiting it. So it's treating that, then you have access to all this power that's just going to show up in a shadow if you don't.
Cool. All right. And then we got David's Trifix book. And of course, it's not just a Trifix book. It shows you the flavor and aesthetic of the types and themes of the types. And then there's Dark Arts Academy. What's going on there?
Dark Arts Academy, we just recorded a class on Robert Greene. I think last week I talked about us doing a class on Derren Brown. And Robert Greene, some of you might know who he is. He wrote the 48 Laws of Power, Art of Seduction, and Laws of Human Nature. He's a really interesting cat. There's just a lot. Those 2 classes were just really interesting. Darren Brown and Robert. Yeah, they were just really interesting because these guys are really psychological, and so there's a lot of depth in about human nature, and this is the thing that we're all interested in. We also have a class coming up on, is it Marina? That's that artist, the type 5 artist. Yeah, she's coming up as well, and I think we're gearing up to do a special on 5 wing 4.
Nice.
Like a whole class on that. So yeah, tune in. And also, Dave or John had posted on the Instagram for people who have been commenting, where can they get typed? DAA, Dark Arts Academy, is a weekly class where we demonstrate our typing methods. We did a podcast on how learning how to type is a requirement to applying the Enneagram, because you're not just learning how to type, you're learning how these psychological dynamics manifest in real life, and to be able to identify them. That's a way to experientially learn the Enneagram. But if you want to get typed, besides joining DAA and watching us do what we do, you can get typed at Enneagrammer.com, or you can just Google "get typed by Enneagrammer" to find us. If you join DAA, there's a discount for our typing services, so that's one way to get in there. But yeah, if you are wondering, needing some help, some expertise on your typing, find us at Enneagrammer.com.
Cool. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Now we're talking about the Archangel Metatron and ascending the Merkaba into the astral plane or whatever.
Alexandra channeled the Archangel, right?
Yeah,
I did.
For this episode.
Yep. I'll be speaking as the Archangel from this point forward.
What's the Archangel's name?
Metatron.
Mm.
That's actually one of the things that Chazo credited the Enneagram for is the Archangel Metatron.
Nice.
And so
Nines be channeling.
Yeah.
being a good 9. And
That should be a t-shirt. Nines be channeling.
yeah, that should be a t-shirt. So yeah, no, but that's like something Christians will cite as like why the Enneagram is evil, because it is, and along with Naranjo claiming the Enneagram came from automatic writing. So I think Achaza was speaking about like intuition, but who knows?
Right. We should hold some workshops about how evil the Enneagram is, so that we can turn Christians away from the Enneagram.
For real.
That would be really great.
No, every
get rid
time
of them.
every time I get an account on Instagram that comes up with like Christians being like turning against the evils of the Enneagram, I repost it and enthusiastically. Stay away.
I need to come up with a new theory that includes the upside down pentagram on top of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the next thing.
Yeah. It should be easy to branch off of with the upside down hexad triangle.
Yeah,
There you go.
that should keep the Christians away, that they're actually upside down evil types in the Enneagram that are moving away from humanity.
We also need to connect the Enneagram more deeply into like radical leftist communism. You know, to
Yeah,
like
it's good
to
Yeah.
to like keep right-wing capitalists away, and Christians will, I feel like modern evangelicalism is just the religion of capitalism, so it's like keeping
Yeah.
it all away.
I'm sure we can figure out a way to overlay the sigil of Baphomet onto it. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, so we are talking about, like, I guess we're talking about the body center, right, and the wings.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with, we want to start with 8 or 9.
We did a little bit of 8 with my wild stories of
Oh yeah.
perpetual fantasy. But
Well,
yeah,
Why don't we start with like what the body center's purpose is in the ego agenda in general. I
What is
think
the
that
body
could be
center's
like
purpose?
I see it as, so everybody has an ego agenda. I see everybody's body fix as the vehicle that is carrying out that agenda.
Mhm.
This is how you're just moving it along.
Mhm.
So I think
Mhm.
if we start from that point, then we can look at 9 as a vehicle and how 1 and 8 affects that, and extend that for the rest of the types.
Yeah, so I mean that's a great way to put it, because it's the body center is how we inhabit our here-ness, like how we take up space or don't, and how we claim our autonomy and sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that no matter, like, instead of fixating on what's my type, that way of thinking about it in terms of just like what is carrying the ego agenda,
Mm-hmm.
or what's the focus of the ego agenda, I guess.
Or
But
the engine
yeah.
right,
The engine, yeah.
right.
motion.
And from a typing perspective, energetically, I think on some level, people sense this energetically. I think the body fix is what you notice first, because you notice the physical energy of somebody first, and there is a way that 8, 9, and 1 just have to exist and embody a certain quality that people can pick up. And I think everyone has a body fix, and on some level, I mean, of course, it's more overt with body types, but there is an energetic quality of each of the body fixes that people can physically feel that quality.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we talked about 8 last time. 8 being a rejection type, right? And then how frustration wing and attachment wing influence them. So we were saying last time, I believe, that 8 wing 9 is sort of the classic archetype of 8, in the sense that when people talk about or understand 8s as like holding court or trying to exercise some sort of influence or power, it's the 8 wing 9 that comes to mind, because the attachment wing is making the 8 attached to something that it wants some kind of influence over or protection with, or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's hard to mistake an 8 wing 9 for anything else. Like it's so rooted in the body, and the boss archetype that people have around 8s, and the sort of protective thing that people imagine, that's so overt and strong with 8 wing 9s compared to 8 wing 7s, who that 7 wing just adds a lot more chaos and more trickster energy that you wouldn't see in an 8 wing 9. That's solidity, and I have one track mind, and I'm bringing my environment and people around me with me is very much 8 wing 9.
Go ahead, baby.
The Godfather is the Godfather in 8 wing 9. I'm assuming so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Played by 8 wing 9.
Right.
Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm really ready. So another thing that this makes me think of is that 8 wing 9, also the 9 wing kind of borrows from, and I'm getting 9ish here, but the 9 wing will borrow like this sort of channeled permission from the universe or whatever. So I kind of do see that with 8 wing 9s, that they feel like God has given them the ability to be an 8, and so they're like even heavier about that 8ness, because it's like the permission comes from, not the permission, but like it's the duty from God that they've been given, as opposed to 7 wing that has that like really outward, like running from side to side kind of quality, at least energetically.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that I know it's kind of dumb, but that Marvel character Thanos is an 8 wing 9? Like,
that feels like an 8 wing 9. Yes.
He's like, I have to kill half the universe because some vague reason that he's channeling from what the universe needs or something.
Yeah, like sort of like the archetype would feel like you could say God's like a type 1 thing, but 8 wing, if God was an 8, it would be an 8 wing 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People say that about the one thing, but I think you're right. I think the God archetype is more 8 wing 9 than it is 1.
I think so too. Yeah.
David has some. I know in his writings he talked about 8 wing 9s being more of the philosopher 8s because of that 9 wing, and you notice like 8s that tend to be writers. I mean, my dad's an author, and he's an 8 wing 9 social self-pres, and so a lot of 8s who are well-known authors tend to be social 8 wing 9s.
Yeah, there's some examples like Bono and Johnny Cash. It kind of adds that philosopher, that a little bit of pensive philosopher thing in there. Yeah.
So like thinking about it from the point of view of object relations and like rejection, like the rejection that the 8 is doing to themselves. Yeah, it's like they're rejecting the nurturing function is in a sense rejecting their own heart. And so then it's like this, like, I am just the protective function. That's what I am. And then it's like attached to some goal or outcome or dynamic or position. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Oh fuck! I just lost it. Just go ahead.
Accessing his 9-wing.
Yeah, and so there is that, like when we're talking about like a god archetype, there is this thing of like I have this power or this potency, and it's for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that in 8-wing 9s, the line to 2 is a little bit more. I wouldn't say it's more present or something, but I think that you can detect that attempt at selflessness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think 8-wing 9s can feel or seem like what they're doing is just like inevitable or needs to happen.
Right.
And they can get into that like shadow of 2 that 8s have, where it's like I do so much for everybody, and that can turn into that entitlement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I find it interesting that most of the dictators have tended to be, I don't know if this is actually accurate, but it feels right that they have tended to be 8-wing 9s. Mm-hmm. And I think that attachment to the position of power and the attachment to that what I'm doing is beneficial to the situation or everyone around me lends itself to a scenario where someone has leverage over an entire country. Whereas 8-wing 7 is a little bit, not to say there haven't been dictators who have been 8-wing 7s, but there's more of that, there's less of an attachment, and so there's more about like, oh, I'm the frustration of, oh, this is an interesting or new thing that I can pursue, and I maybe drop it. Whereas that, to be a dictator, you have to consistently add to the pile of leverage and just keep adding to the pile year after year, decade after decade, until you have leverage on everyone. And that just feels like that's what 8-wing 9s do. They just consistently build and build and build and build.
Also, they come in usually as sort of the champion of some, movement
right.
that's going to overthrow the current system. And that was Castro and Hitler and etc.
Do you think Gaddafi is an 8-wing 9 with a 2 fix?
I'm not sure. He's tricky.
Character.
Yeah, he's going to have some other. I don't think he's going to be an 863. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of the idea that because an 8 has an attachment wing, or because 8-wing 9 has an attachment wing, that it's kind of what we said with 4-wing 3s on one of these last calls? Because that wing is tapped into the collective, that's like how they can hold their power. They're like observing what is being responded to.
Right.
Like they're still a reactive type, but they're also more tapped into like what everyone's, how their, I don't know, like how their sense of control is being, whether it's working
received,
or not.
Whether they're being
received.
No, that's a really good point. Now that it's lighting something up for me now that you've mentioned it, because my sister's an 8-wing 9, and we have plenty of differences, but she's a lot more sensitive to disrespect than I am. And of course, maybe this is me being social blind, but I think it's there's some difference between 8-wing 7 and 8-wing 9, whereas let's say like the Godfather principle with 8-wing 9, whereas it's like you acted in a certain way that I deemed disrespectful. Like, I might feel that and do something about it, but it's not as sensitive as it is that I think what I've noticed with 8-wing 9s, because there is more an attachment to how my sense of power within a situation or respect, how I'm being respected, is much more of a bigger deal for them than 8-wing 7s. Now, I mean, of course, that's not to say that 8-wing 7s don't fly off the handle about being disrespected, but I'm just noticing that there is more of a bigger deal with that attachment to my own sense of power.
It's like in The Godfather, 8s with a 9-wing want you to kiss the ring.
On some level, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I also just see it as like the attachment wings are going to, it's almost like did I lose you guys? Oh, no, here. It's almost like the attachment wings, like an 8-wing 9, almost their sense of power and their own sense of, their own sense of power is going to be more dependent on the response of the thing they're trying to be powerful over. Whereas 8-wing 7 doesn't really need you to agree. It's just in charge. It's just gonna it's just gonna do its motive. But like we've seen and interacted with several 8-wing nines, that when you are not agreeing with how powerful they are, they're not happy about it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's connecting some dots right there.
Yeah, because like 8-wing sevens are kind of always trolling in a certain way, and so
Right,
they just
exactly.
expect you to troll back, and
Right.
it's like that dance is kind of fun, and so it's not taken so personally. Whereas like a 8-wing
Yeah.
nine, that attachment thing
Right.
will, it's like there is a sensitivity in rejection because you're already rejecting so much of yourself
Mm-hmm.
that what you've got like left is you. And so when it's being disrespected there's an attachment element to it, then it's like there's more of that like one of the things that gets lost a lot with 8s is like not just how sensitive 8s are, but also how kind of like that line to 2 emotionality and like kind of like there's like a, not diva is not the right word, but there's like this is histrionic maybe, like the way they can get really hurt by things, that seems like a little
sure.
over the top.
Temperamental or something.
Yeah,
Well, it's a sense. It's like a sentimentality. No, not necessarily.
It's got that in it.
Keep
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
But there's a quality where it's like, where there's like, why would you need to kiss the ring, right? Like, it's such a ridiculous display, right? To like kiss somebody's stupid fuck. And I'm, making metaphorical, but like,
right.
That quality and like what is needing that level of validation, or like if they're controlling a population, like why do they need that much control, and like why would they need, like in the case of some dictators, like to put their picture in everybody's home?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
It's that
Well, if there's
Shadow
a-
2 thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was going to say that. If there's a line to 2 and 2's passion is pride, then there is a kind of retroactive 8 thing with 2 of like, I have a lot to offer and you're gonna know it. Like that
And
kind
there-
of thing.
Yeah.
With like an emotional delicacy thing that's in there, like that's what it's like this, like there's this weird thing that I can detect in 8-wing nines especially, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something there that's like delicate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Well, this is a little bit, I'm like looking at the Enneagram again. 8 has access to all 3 positive types. It's got the 2 positive adjacent wings and then a forward line to 2. So that's, we don't have to play with that right now, but both 8 and 1 are surrounded by the positive types. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense to sustain the 8 ego agenda, like we talked about
Right.
last time.
Totally. And ones too. Yeah. Body types for sure too. Like we talked one of these last times about like the positive outlook can just like keep the path clear, right? It can keep like a sense of faith. And if the body center's objective is to just keep the ego agenda moving, then it needs help keeping the path clear, which I think is why it's going to be surrounded by positive outlook types.
Other thing I was going to say too is with the gut types, and I don't know where this goes with the wing conversation, but that all 3 of the gut types have their lines connect to the other object relations. They're sitting between their object relations types. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And there's no other, center that has that going on.
Huh.
So,
Oh,
like,
so
you're saying like they both have a wing that's the
Well, no,
opposite?
here's what I'm saying. So 8 has lines to 5 and 2. So that's all 3 rejection type. 9 to 6 and 3, all 3 attachment types. 1 to 7 and 4, all 3 frustration types. And so the gut center, that's part of why the gut center is so dug in on its, and immovable.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
No escape.
I think we said something last time about like the primary ego agendas or something, or 8, 9, and 1. And
Right.
Or that in a sense, like 9 is the whole, and then expansion and contraction are the ways that the unity of 9 or the allness of 9 can exert itself in reality, basically.
Right. And I see it as 9 is, said it before, but like 9 is the universal field or whatever, and 8 represents the, cosmic principle of chaos, and 1 represents order. And so you've got order versus chaos in a war within a 9 universe.
Or you could say with 8, it's like order versus destruction, because before you can build something, you have to tear it down.
That's right. And destruction makes sense too if you start at 9 and you're going clockwise around in a process enneagram, where 8 would be the last number, and the thing has to be destroyed for the next cycle to start.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense too with rejection of just like, no, done.
That's right.
Not doing it.
Chop
Whereas
off
frustration has, exactly. Whereas frustration does have like a reforming quality to it of like,
that's right.
Not good enough. Make it better.
And so 8-wing 7 rejection.
It's perfect.
It's
perfect in every way.
The best type.
The best type. Everybody loves 8-wing 7.
Perfect boys.
I would disagree with that statement.
Let's talk about your mom.
Wait, is your mom 8-wing 7?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for your.
They're the best.
Sorry, it's so difficult for you to be around perfection.
Yeah.
You're dealing with
it's just it becomes glaringly obvious that I'm not perfect, and that's just too much.
Yeah.
That's what the real pain is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a core wound or whatever.
Is what's that movie with that guy that plays Brad Pitt that all the incels really love?
Oh, Fight Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
that's
that guy
an
8-wing 7?
Yeah, that's an 8-wing
Okay.
7 archetype.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that.
There's a TikTok going around where someone girl-splains Fight Club, and it just makes it very like shallow and hilarious, and it's really funny. So that's all I think about when I think of Fight Club now.
The thing about 8-wing 7, like at least just watching movies and seeing like the way people respond to different archetypes. So like, let's say 8-wing 9 is like this sort of godfather principle type of archetype. 8-wing 7, you could call like the Fight Club, whatever type of revolutionary type of archetype, that it seems that whenever someone like that comes around, like this sort of chaotic leader or whatever, like Trump, that it's not necessarily about building. It's about like someone who represents sort of like a chaotic upstart.
Right.
And I see that in a way that 7-wing 8 sort of represents this sort of chaotic, entertaining, controversial character that people can latch onto. 8-wing 7 is doing a similar thing. There's a guy that is blowing up on social media right now that's an 8-wing 7 who is sort of represents what they call the manosphere, which is a lot of like what do you call it? What would you call the manosphere? How do you explain what the manosphere is?
I think manosphere is like basically it's taking a real issue, which is like the lack of guidance and understanding around manhood and like aggression and like how to function and be an adult, with like a reactionary grievance culture that like makes different changes in culture and different changes in politics and different ways we think about gender and sexuality the problem, rather than addressing what I would say would be more substantial, social issues.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this guy, he's an 8-wing 7. He's very loud, but and articulate, and he sort of represents. I feel like this sort of Fight Club 8-wing 7 archetype, where he's talking about some real issues, but in a way like Trump is like sort of galvanizing men or young men who feel like there's no voice that represents an ideal masculinity that's entertaining and engaging, but it can fire me up. And so this guy's clips is going viral everywhere because he kind of represents this sort of like extreme masculine character who's not afraid to say like whatever the fuck he wants. And there are a lot of men, and he's using it to sell courses, of course. He's not just talking shit. He's trying to make money. He's making a lot of money selling courses for men to make more money, get women, and just become to live out their masculine ideal, sort of like Fight Club. So I see that archetype playing out where you have like a Trump show up, or like a guy like this guy's name's Andrew Tate, if anybody's interested, who is really loud and obnoxious, but can galvanize a lot of people behind something.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get at like, all right, so there's the rejection, right, of self, and I'm identified with the protective function, or I'm identified with this sort of offering of a certain kind of energy. With a frustration wing, it's sort of like pushing, but there's also this kind of like pushing, but that's not it. Pushing, but that's not it. Like,
it's like an idealization behind the pushing.
Yes.
Part of the thing we talked about with why Trump is so effective is that, we're going to build a wall. Like it's I'm galvanizing you by painting a picture of the future. Like sevens are, painting an ideal future. Like, Elon Musk is a fraud to a lot of people. Part of why he's so successful is that he gets people to believe in these fucking impossible ideals, and he may or may not make them happen, but it's like getting people excited about possibilities. And so this Tyler Durden Fight Club thing is like, you get people really riled up because you paint a vision, that an ideal vision, and that's how you're pushing, and that's how it's less about the position like an 8-wing 9. It's more about this like vision of like the future or something like that.
Yeah. And so how would you distinguish the idealization of the frustration wing with the like 8-wing 9 attachment representing a cause?
Okay. I feel like the 8-wing 7, like 8-wing 9 is more centralized. There is something being built, like an organization, a movement, or, like Martin Luther King Jr., that was a tangible movement. Something is getting bigger with this person as a central figure. Like it eventually becomes a tangible structure with this person sort of acting like as the godfather, dictator, or whatever. Whereas 8-wing 7 becomes more of like the 7-wing, let's say like Muhammad Ali became like an iconic sports figure because like he was just, he represented an ideal. He represented an ideal that didn't necessarily manifest itself in some sort of tangible organization or movement or anything else. And so 8-wing 7s tend to be like, it's more like the idea of this fantasy thing that people can imagine themselves like, oh, this person's inspirational. Because that's the other thing. When we looked at the reflections from 3 to 7, like the 7 is the inspirational part of 3. And so 8-wing 7s are more like, is an aspirational thing that gets people riled up. Whereas 8-wing 9 has a tangible movement or organization or something that is being built. Yeah, grounding, attachment, something people can attach to.
Yeah. I also kind of see 8-wing 9 as being more tapped into like what's already going on and building from what they've already felt into. Whereas 8-wing 7 has a more like, let's build the wall. Like, let's move towards the ideal thing. It has a more future orientation. Whereas 8-wing 9 doesn't want to move. It wants to sit right here. 7's the one that wants to go, go, go. So you double that up with another assertive type and give it like the levity and the like, I don't know, the like anticipatory quality of 7, then you just have a lot more movement and a lot more chase.
And like we said with the other attachment wings, 8-wing 9s are going to tend to be more conservative than 8-wing 7s. Like, like the looking for the next thing, looking for the new edge, is what the 7 is adding to an 8. So, and it's just more mercurial too, in that.
Yeah.
Part of the reason it doesn't necessarily translate to one tangible thing is that the 7-wing is going to want to move on to the next thing. Like, I want to be on the cutting edge of the next thing. So, whereas 8-wing 9 could just stay and build with one thing for a really long time. Yes, that's why there are more 8-wing 9s that are authors, because you got to sit there and fucking write for a long time, which is not necessarily something you'll see a lot of 8-wing 7s doing.
I think that's also where 8-wing 9 gets like the king or godfather, whatever archetype, whereas 8-wing 7 has more of like the revolutionary, right? Like the what's the word I'm looking for?
Instigator or anarchist or
like the anarchist, like the guy that's going to overthrow the current king.
Yeah.
That's some big 8-wing 7.
It's also like I think of it also, I mean, it's mostly 7s with an 8-wing, but 8 with the 7 has that energy of like a boxing promoter. The rabble rouser who's going to get everybody excited about this big event.
That nobody gets paid at. Nobody gets paid. Everyone shows up and buys tickets, but nobody gets paid.
That's right.
Like boxing promoter who just scams everybody.
There you go.
And by the way, this guy this Andrew Tate guy is literally, it's impressive. Like he's built what is essentially a pyramid scheme of you getting young men who want to make money, and he has good information, but then there are levels where if you get to the affiliate level and you start promoting his course, he can help you make more money. So by promoting his course, you are sharing clips of his material. And so that's how he's been able to create basically an army of people who are reposting his clips on all of his social media, which just creates more income, more people who come at the bottom. I was like, man, that's just flooding the zone with your shit, and you're not even doing the work.
Right. Promoter.
I'm taking notes.
I'm also just looking at the Pinterest page that Joseph has right now on all the 8-wing 7s, and 8-wing 7s just visually there is the just like heavy body energy, right? There's like immovable body energy, but there is like a glint of mischief in every single person's face. There is a glint of like,
up to no good.
What am I gonna do? Yeah, totally. There's like, I could fuck you up if I wanted to, and maybe I will for fun because I'm bored, kind of deal.
Oh man, if I didn't have the parents that I did, I've recognized this, even though sometimes I've not looked fondly at my parents. Like any other set of parents, I would have terrorized them. I would have made there were so many crazy things I was doing as a kid that I had to have a dad that I was scared of because I was up to no good. I was up to no good.
I want your parents on the podcast.
Well, yeah. Well, everyone, thank God for Emika's dad for not unleashing this bomb that could have been.
Putting the fear of Allah in me.
Oh, man. All right, you guys want to do 9 or 1 next?
We don't want to talk about 9. Let's move on to 1.
No, we don't want to talk about 9s either.
9s don't want to talk about 9.
I don't remember anything about 9.
Yeah.
Just
blank
space.
9s exist?
No.
Nines want to talk about themselves when they think they're another type.
which happens on every single day of the week.
Yeah, or there are moments where they go to 3 and they're like, it's only 9, guys. Outside of that, don't even breathe in my direction. Please don't acknowledge me.
I was thinking the other day that we've sort of boosted up 9s over the last couple of years, like making 9s great again. So there are more 9s that are more encouraged to fess up to being 9s, and I've noticed that 6s are just about the same. Like it's like neck and neck, 6 and 9.
Yeah.
But like nobody wants to fucking admit that they're a 6. It's like, man, what do we got to do for 6s?
Yeah, we got to pump up the 6. I mean,
yeah, we got to pump up 6s.
Courtney is such a we gotta have Courtney on some 6 something.
Mm-hmm.
6 rave.
Yeah, I was saying to Alexandra, we were talking about this fucking psychopath 9 that I like found YouTube's about, who's this like his name's like Chandler or something. He's like this piece of shit Wisconsin kid or something who basically he just wanted to play video games and be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so he pretended to get these different jobs that he didn't actually have, and also pretended to be enrolled in a college and was taking courses, but then like he couldn't get his transcripts and he couldn't get paid, and he would make up these stories to put off his parents, I guess, and it got more and more elaborate, and he was lying to his girlfriend and his parents, and he ended up like making all these extra email accounts that he'd like email to show proof that he was trying to get his transcripts and trying to get paid, and all the payroll errors and all this bullshit. He made it all up, and then his dad got involved and like went on and on and on for over a year, And also he could play video games, and he would have his friends pretend to be colleagues so that his parents would hear him talking in business meetings. Now this is like like more effort than actually having a full-time job and going to school at the same time would have been. And then when his dad called the school without telling the kid, because like the kid would make up some shit being these fake administrators. So he calls the school, and in the trial they like played this kid, the call the father made, where you find him asking if so and so works there, and if his own son, he's pretending to be the son, but if the son's transcripts are there, and there's like no one by that name has ever been enrolled here, and all these employees don't actually work there, and you can feel him realizing that he's been lied to. So then he fucking makes this. The father's like, all right, we got a meeting with the school. The kid realizes he's been found out and fucking murders both of his parents.
Whoa!
And chops up their bodies and tries to burn their bodies.
That was an escalation.
Whoa!
Tries to burn their bodies in his fireplace and fuck shit up, and then it's the weirdest story. Even how he tries to dispose of the bodies, and he also faked an injury when he like fell downstairs. I mean, it was so much effort to not have to get a job.
A bunch of effort to not do anything.
Yes, Chandler Halderson is the name. Yeah, when John and I were did I see that right? Yeah, Chandler Halderson. What a terrible name. But when John and I were talking about that,
he had no chance.
He had no chance. Not with that name. John and I were also talking about it, and it was like this. I don't know. He kind of said it already. Like he's put in all of this effort. He like, in a way, he realized his potential behind resistance the whole time.
Right.
Like all he had to do was just like walk out of the gate of his own sloth, and he could have just like found a way to create a lifestyle where he could just have all of his time to himself. But instead, he like. Instead he went to 3 and away.
You can see like also his immense creativity to make things like, it's like, like Jung or like storytellers like Miyazaki or Tolkien or whatever that have these like, or George Martin that have these like vast like landscapes of imagination that they create into stories. It's like he did that but for like the most boring, banal shit possible. So it's this interesting power, but the reason I was bringing him up was when we were talking about this guy, Alexandra mentioned something about the DSM and like personality disorders and all this stuff, and she said something like, "Man, I bet like so many of these DSM categories are just personality types that have an exaggerated feature." And then she made a joke about, most of these are probably 9s, and what was interesting to me was like, if there were as many 4s as there were 9s and 6s, like you'd probably have a whole other kind of DSM like level of complexity. And so, like when people have a hard time owning being a 9 or being a 6, it's because like there's so many examples of people that suck of those types. Yeah. And it's just like there aren't as many examples of people that suck as a 4, right? Because there's not as many 4s.
Right.
And I just think that it's hard to be a common type, right? Because you've got so much, like the percentage of people that are not shitty is so low in general,
right?
Yeah.
And so that to like so we can name like I could probably name like just 5 4s,
right?
like that's it. Whereas I can name all, and so then with every type, there's like really exceptional people and really shitty people. But as like y'all with Dark Arts especially have been uncovering that so many of the like creative people that we thought were these other types are like 9s and 6s.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
And it's even when we talk about attachment, you're just looking at the record of typings that we've done over the years. Like 3s are pretty rare also. Like it's really 6s and 9s, like dominating these groups, and then maybe 7 as a third type, but 3s aren't that common. I mean, at least maybe it's just typology, but the sense of the human condition, like what you think when marketers think about I want to target a group of people, or politicians try to figure out how to run a campaign, the way that people act and what they know they have to do to get people to buy into stuff is like basically how to manipulate the 6-9 stem, like the 6-9 concern of how to create certainty how to create these attachment stories that people can buy into is acting on like the 6-9, which is, I think that's what the human the human condition is. It's like when you look at 6 and 9, that's what you're mostly dealing with.
Right. Do we want to do 9 now, or do we want to wait for next time? We've been going for like an hour, right?
Yeah, we've been going for. This could be just in one episode. I mean, we don't have to cram it all, and yeah, we can just break it up.
How's that feel to everybody else?
Yeah, that feels fine to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure with 9 we'll have a lot of shit to say.
Right, and it gives us a lot of room to explore and do sidetracks.
Yeah, I think that's good.
There you go.
So,
and by the way, just for everyone listening, the next week we're doing a live pod on Friday. We don't have an exact time, but somewhere in the evening around 7 or something. So tune in wherever, Facebook or YouTube or whatever, we're going to go live.
Yeah, Instagram, we'll announce it everywhere. Just stay tuned. I was going to say, this might be too social for you guys, but I think it would be really fun for everybody else. What if you guys did like a question and answer thing?
Ooh.
Like if people just asked you a bunch of dumb questions and you just answered all the questions.
And
I mean like
ahead
of time. Yeah. I don't mean like from whoever's right in front. But if someone was like, Emika, what was your most embarrassing something? I think that would just be fun for them.
Should we do a post in the Facebook group asking for questions or?
Yeah.
You could. You could say like if you want to ask personal questions to any of you guys, me too or whatever.
We could pick the very best ones or something.
Yeah, that's true because maybe we only get like 20 people watching live, so we won't really get that many questions if we wait until it's live to do it. So we should ask people beforehand. So anyway, yeah, I'll put this in the episode. We're going to do a live podcast and it's going to be basically a question and answer any and all questions that you might have for any of us. You can respond or DM the Big Hormone Instagram account or hit up one of us. We'll probably make an announcement somewhere that people can respond to, but like any weird questions you might have, it's gonna be just a fucking parasocial love fest.
Right. You asked, they're delivering.
All right, I guess I'll see you all next week.
Yeah, fuck, that's crazy.
Tight.
Okay.
All right, y'all.
All right, guys.
All right, y'all. Talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye. Bye.
What are you gonna do about it? 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 This is an emergency. This is a wake-up call. Divide. Divide and conquer. Divide and